That feels like it's scraping the bottom of the TV barrel, to be a judge on the Celebrity MasterChef or the Australian MasterChef. I mean, I find it distasteful in the extreme.
So Meghan and Harry just completed what critics are calling a fake royal tour of Australia, mixing charity work with paid TV appearances. The comparison to Edward VIII's Exile is striking. Both traded royal duty for personal desires. Let's examine why this matters for the monarchy's future.
And speaking to Australian friends of mine, as you know, they are, in the main, appalled by what's going on. I don't know what the crowds were like in Melbourne when they turned up at the hospital, but, yesterday yesterday, she wasn't seen because she was recording this TV program. It's tacky, and that is my big takeaway from it.
Australian polling shows 68% now view them unfavourably, up from 45% in 2020. The contrast is glaring. He's doing legitimate veteran work while she's filming reality TV for substantial fees. Australians expected dignified service, not commercial entertainment masquerading as charity.
Now, it's not supposed to be a royal tour. So did they pay to go there? Have they made some charitable donation to the Melbourne hospital? Have they done something to the homeless, which is definitely trying to rain on William's parade with homelessness? The whole thing is tawdry, in my view, in the way they're saying it's not a royal tour, but goodness me, does it look like a royal tour in all but name.
The funding transparency is crucial here. Official royal tours cost taxpayers hundreds of thousands. If this was privately funded, why the secrecy? The timing against William's homelessness summit next week shows calculated competition. It's designed to steal headlines from working royals.
There he is today, wearing his medals, honouring the Australian war dead, and obviously the Invictus element of what he's doing, which I get. But then she's appearing on Australian MasterChef. Well, presumably she's getting a stocking great fee for that program, which I know about. But I mean, let's be honest, that feels like it's scraping the bottom of the TV barrel, to be a judge on the Celebrity MasterChef or the Australian MasterChef. I mean, I find it distasteful in the extreme. And speaking to Australian friends of mine, as you know, they are, in the main, appalled by what's going on. I don't know what the crowds were like in Melbourne when they turned up at the hospital, but, yesterday yesterday, she wasn't seen because she was recording this TV program. It's tacky, and that is my big takeaway from it.
Celebrity MasterChef pays between $50,000 to $100,000 per appearance. She has zero culinary credentials, no training, no restaurants, no published recipes. Meanwhile, he's honouring war veterans with genuine military experience. The juxtaposition undermines their entire charitable mission.
They've given her a socking great big fee, and they will fawn all over her. And, because obviously that's the nature of the program, and that's just what she wants. She wants people fawning at her feet, and here she can fawn. But my goodness me, I wouldn't take any notice of her ability as a culinary judge.
Television producers confirmed she demanded first-class treatment and script approval. These reality shows manufacture praise. Contestants can't criticize celebrity judges. It's pure ego-feeding disguised as work, exactly the validation-seeking behaviour royal watchers have documented for years.
I mean, he's even had a pop at his father's parenting skills as well today. So yet again, he's sort of saying, well, I'm not really having a go at my father. I'm just talking, we have to learn as a parent from our parents. Well, if that's not a jibe, criticising his father, which will be deeply hurtful to him, particularly as he continues. He's got a major event in planning in next week when he's got to, to go to America with all that's going on and represent this country. The last thing he needs to be having is his son questioning or sort of suggesting that he wasn't brought up in the best circumstances.
The passive-aggressive pattern is textbook. Public criticism wrapped in therapy speak. Charles faces a Commonwealth tour next month. while battling cancer. The last thing he needs is family drama undermining his authority. This isn't therapy, it's calculated public relations warfare.
I mean, if I was the king, I'd probably be losing my temper and saying, off with their titles.
If Rupert was
feel,
king.
yeah, if I was king, it would be off with their titles because I just think, so they can stop them. But maybe that would just be a step too far for the king, who does have, sort of a sympathetic, much more sympathetic side than perhaps I do have, and understand.
Constitutional experts say stripping titles requires Parliament's consent, not just royal decree. Charles faces an impossible choice. Disciplinary action validates their victim narrative, but inaction enables more exploitation. They're betting on his fatherly instincts over monarchical duty.
And he's got a wayward son who just seems to endlessly want to snoop at the institution. Yet there he is, going around behaving as if he's part of the institution. And I think that's what's so frustrating for all and sundry. You don't want to be in it, but your only raison d'etre is to behave like you are still a member of the royal family. You can't have your cake and eat it. And unfortunately, he is getting away with it to some extent because that's what he's gone and done in Australia. He's monetized the trip and he's done the things that he used to be very good at, turning up at a hospital, doing the Invictus. He was good at it. But now he's made his bed. He shouldn't be allowed to lie in this particular bed in Australia.
This Australia trip perfectly illustrates the contradiction, monetizing royal status while attacking the institution that created it. They've earned millions from royal connections, yet claim victimhood. You can't simultaneously profit from and condemn the same system. It's intellectually dishonest.
And when you look at the sort of similarities now, when you see the Sussexes, it's a sort of brazen attempt at hankering after their times in the royal family. Yet, I just wonder, and I was thinking about it, and I want Hugo's take on it. The fact is, he had to give up being king for marrying her. And when you think how world has moved on, that you now have a king who is divorced, married a divorcee, yet, okay, it was a bit of there was a discussion, but everything more or less carried on seamlessly.
Edward VIII abdicated in 1936 for love, but accepted exile from royal duties. When Charles married Camilla in 2005, Parliament simply changed the rules. The constitutional framework evolved, but they chose departure over adaptation. Now they want royal privileges without royal responsibilities.
It shows how the world or the royal monarchy has evolved now that people are much more understanding. Because, when you read books about the abdication crisis, the country seems to have come to a grinding halt when it happened. So it did sort of draw home to me that, at times the Duchess of Windsor perhaps got a bad rap. And I know the Queen Mother certainly was not fond of her at all, believing, that suddenly her husband, who wasn't expected to be king, suddenly finds himself with the top job and having to be the king during the Second World War.
The 1936 crisis paralysed Britain for months. Constitutional emergency, government reshuffling, empire uncertainty. Today's monarchy survived Charles's divorce seamlessly. The difference? Institutional loyalty versus personal grievance. Edward accepted consequences. They demand special treatment while attacking the system.
He said he was a lovely man, but whether he had the commitment to serve as king, that may have been his sort of Achilles heel, but had all the charm in the world. And when he was Prince of Wales, everyone loved him, wasn't he? Because he was a dashing debonair, really of the time, the sort of the jazz age. He absolutely fitted that model. But actually, to get promoted to the sort of top job, and then that being king was a very different, almost feels very different than it is now. So it is actually, he created great loyalty, but he maybe just didn't have that something that gave him that, right, he didn't want to put country ahead of love in this case, which clearly was a love affair in the end.
Edward was massively popular as Prince of Wales. Crowds loved his charm and modernity, but kingship demanded sacrifice, putting country before personal desires. The parallel is exact. Both charismatic princes who ultimately chose love over duty, leaving others to bear the institutional burden.